Hi everyone. My live video today is about a beautiful woman called Grace Emmy Rose Milan. Grace was born on December the 2nd in 1996. She was from Wickford in Essex in the UK, and she was the youngest of three to two older brothers. Her mum's name was Gillian and her dad's name was David. And Grace was a really outgoing, beautiful woman. You know, she loved music, she enjoyed sports, especially hockey, and she was just so outgoing. I'm going to show you some more photos of Grace. Because I'm getting very good at this now. There's another one of Grace. She's so beautiful, beautiful woman she was. Stunning, beautiful. She was so outgoing. Yeah, these are just a few more photos of Grace. Beautiful. But yeah, Grace, she was studying her bachelor's degree in advertising and marketing in 2018. She was in the University of Lincoln, that's where she was studying. And Grace had a gap year. So I'm just going to do another one for you. Yep, she had a gap year, so she had a year off before she sort of wanted to sort of get into a job for like marketing and buying her own property and settling down really. So she decided to do a gap year, and she decided to travel. She wanted to go and see a bit of the world, and she was just outgoing. So this is just something she really wanted to do before she settled down. Here's her mom, her dad, her two brothers. Yeah, just this is just her family. This is just, I think, before she travelled. So yeah, bless her. Right. So let's go back, because I don't want to. Yeah. Okay. Right. So got it right. I'm getting there with my videos. Yeah. So what Grace done? She decided to travel for a year. So she left from Heathrow and she travelled to Peru, and she stayed in Peru for a few weeks, and in this time she was with a group of people, and then she went to the North Islands, visiting like lots of beautiful sites in New Zealand. When she reached a place called Auckland in New Zealand, she travelled by herself. So she was now travelling alone. And she put herself into a hostel, and she was just enjoying, you know, the place called Auckland, and she was getting to know that sort of area and getting to see some sights there. Yeah, so while she was there, she spent a lot of time on her social media, to back home, to her friends, her family, and she never stopped contact with them. And she met a guy on Tinder, and this guy, his name was called Jesse Kempson. He was 26 years old, and they were communicating on Tinder, and he was from Auckland in New Zealand, and they decided to meet up on the 1st of December to go out for a few drinks. The next day, on the 2nd of December, was Grace's birthday. So yeah, I'm going to try and share a bit of the CCTV while I explain a bit of what time Grace left, and where they went, and bits like that, really. So I'm going to stop sharing this one and see if I'm back. Yes, I'm back, and I'm going to try and share a bit of the CCTV for you, just to get a gist of her evening, and how her night sort of progressed as it went on, really. And the CCTV is silent, so I'll speak over it and just explain a bit more. Can you see that? Yay, we can. Okay, so I'm going to press play. So on the CCTV, you can see what happened was Grace left her hostel around 5:35 p.m. that evening, and from there she walked to a place called Sky City, and that is like a casino bar, and that's where she met this Jesse here. You can see them both together. Yeah, they had a few drinks in this bar, and then they moved on, I think, round the corner to a Mexican cafe. I think that's a bit in a little while. And then from there, they went to a place called the Blue Storeroom, and it was a bar, and that's where they had a few more drinks before they left. But yeah, in I don't think you see it on this CCTV, but on one bit where they are sitting down, Grace goes to the toilet. Jesse actually looks through her handbag and goes through her stuff in her bag as well. So yeah, this is them having a drink, and they're sitting there on the left. Yeah, so I'm just showing you a bit of the evening, really, so you can get a feel of it, sort of thing. Yeah, in a minute, I think he goes to the toilet, and Grace actually messages her friend back home, and she sends a message saying she really, no, this is the bit where he goes for a handbag. You can see there, he picks it up, he opens it, looks in it, just really predator, just horrible. And there is a bit where he goes to the loo, and Grace actually messages her friend back home, and says that she's really into him, she really likes him, and it's just so sad. And this is the bit where she messages her friend. And this is it. Now they're going back to, this is Jessie's hotel. They're entering the lift together. They seem, Grace seems, happy, and yeah, I'm going to pause it there and stop that for the moment. So the next day, on the 2nd of December, which was Grace's birthday, she wasn't responding to any messages or like social media messages, any birthday messages, and especially to her family's messages, which was really unusual for her. She would always respond back to a text message, even if it was just hello, how are you? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about Jessie's background. I'm going to share a picture of him. Okay, sorry, we're back on this one again. So, okay. Yeah. So this is Jessie. This is his Tinder profile picture. It was anyway. His Tinder and social media background, he would say to people on social media, like things that he had cancer, he was terminally ill, his parents had passed away when he was younger, he was adopted by a really rich family, and he was actually a CIA agent, and his cousin played for this like famous football team, and he would just say whatever he could to make himself try to look better or feel better, than just the vile piece of scum that he was, really. The real Jesse, he was born in a place called Wellington in 1992. His parents, they separated when he was 9, and his mum left the country, and all he done really, Jesse, was just work as a bartender and a labourer when he could, really, because all he done was just make up fantasies about his own life, and he was just fantasizing about who he was and who he wasn't. So yeah. Right, so I'm going to go back to another photo. That's him again, sorry. So yeah, there's a few more photos, obviously, that we've seen the CCTV of them going out. This is the Mexican bar that they were at. Yeah, this is them again at the other bar. And yeah, so, and this is them entering the hotel like we see on the CCTV. they entered the hotel and the lift together. But yeah, on the 2nd of December, Grace's birthday, she wasn't responding to any messages, and it was the 3 days after of not replying. Her family put in a missing report for Grace, and I'm just going to show you the photo. Sorry, I'm a bit. I need to go down. That's right. Oh yeah, so that's her going into the lift. That's him. No, hang on. Giving it away now. Sorry. How can I see that one then? Oh yeah, here we go. So yeah, they put out a missing. So the media got involved, the police got involved, and they put out a missing profile of who Grace was and how old she was and where she was last seen. So yeah, and obviously with the CCTV cameras, the police would, of what I've just showed you as well, they were seeing who she met up with and where she had been. And I think the last CCTV at that time, they saw her with Jesse on one of the streets. So until they investigated more and they got the phones and other CCTV images, that's when they sort of found out more. But yeah, so what happened on the 5th of December, Jesse was actually took into New Zealand police station, and I'm going to, sorry about this, I'm going to show you some more. I'm getting better, I think. Yeah, he was actually took in for questioning at New Zealand police station. They asked him questions, on the night of the 1st, and was he out with Grace, and he said he was. But he said they had a couple of drinks together, and at the end of the evening, they separated ways after leaving the bar. So after the policeman asked him a few more questions, the police officer left the room, and Jesse sort of got up and he knocked on the door and he said, am I being arrested for something I haven't done? And the police officer said to him, you're not under arrest. And he went, oh, thank God for that, like the fantasist that he is. So they released him, but asked him not to go back to his hotel room because they needed to investigate a bit further about, Grace's whereabouts. And so after that, the police would, I'm just going to see, yeah, right, okay. So I'm going to stop that now and I'm going to come started investigating the CCTV further from the hotel where Jesse was staying in, and they actually went into his bedroom and searched all his room. And I'm going to share some more of the CCTV now of after the 2nd and 3rd, because this is what Jesse actually did do on them days. Here we go, we're back. Okay, so the next morning, Jesse sort of comes back in on the lift on his own. When he gets arrested again, he actually says that he's in shock and everything, but he didn't look in shock there. He actually buys a suitcase. This is the 2nd of December, Grace's birthday. He buys a suitcase. Buys cleaning products from a store. Gets a taxi. This is where he goes. He actually gets a taxi here, and I think he goes on another Tinder date. I'm sure this is it? I'm not sure. No, sorry. He gets a taxi back to the hotel, and this is him actually bringing Grace's body into the lift in suitcases, as you can see. And what he actually does, he's actually hired a car, and he puts Grace's body in the car, and he takes her body to a bush, a shallow grave, and just leaves her there. I'm sorry, I'm crying. This is really a sad one. He actually buys a shovel. Okay, this is when the police get him, when he gets actually arrested for her murder. So I'm going to stop this now. But yeah, I'm back. Yeah, it's very emotional, this one. But the reason why I done it was, at the end you'll find out, because I really am going to start supporting this charity, and I believe that it is a charity to be supported and donated to, you know. But yeah, there you see Jesse doing what he was doing, and on the 8th of December, the police, as you saw just at the end of the CCTV there, the police went back to his hotel, and they arrested Jesse for the murder of Grace. And I'm going to show you some pictures as they done in when they investigated his room. I don't need that one anymore. Okay. Yeah, there obviously with the aluminum, I think it's called, they used, they could see blood that had been there, and Yeah, sorry. On this one, yeah, that is actually that Jessie's footprints there that you can see. And when Jessie was arrested on the 8th of December, under arrest, he admitted that Grace had been into his hotel room, and he said this is what his story was. Jessie said that when they got back to the hotel room, Grace would say to Jessie, are you into bondage? Have you seen the 50 Shades of Grey? He then went on to say, sorry, that they done. I'm going to stop this and come back on. He went on to say that they done some photographic photos together, so they were taking pictures of each other, and he said that Jessie asked Grace asked him to put his hands around her throat and do like a bondage squeeze, like tighten like on the neck, like sort of to her. This was what Jessie was saying. We're under arrest. But yeah, sorry, just one moment. So under arrest, he admitted that he was in shock. What happened after they'd had sex that evening? He went into the shower. Apparently, he said that he fell asleep in the shower until the next morning. So he was sleeping with the water running on him. And when he came in the room in the morning, he saw Grace on the floor, dead. He said he panicked. He was in shock. He didn't look in shock or panicky. On the CCTV, you could see him coming back in the lift and with the suitcases. Not at all. So yeah, he then admitted to where Grace's body was and where he buried her. I'm going to share again. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, okay, right. Yeah, so this is where they found Grace, and he had covered the suitcase with just a light bit of like bushy bits there. And there's the suitcase, and yeah, when they done the post-mortem on Grace, they said that her body was so tightly squeezed in the suitcase, and she also had bruises on her arms and where she'd been tightly restrained, and bruising on the left side of her neck, which was the cause of her death, which was strangulation. But yeah, he was arrested for the murder, and he was put on trial, and I need to get my dates right. Sorry, because you know what I'm like with my dates, but I'm getting better. Yeah, he was arrested for the murder, but what he was doing, he was pleading not guilty, and he was appealing. So what that was doing, that was actually hiding his identity from the public. So obviously nobody knew who he was. They just knew him as Grace's killer. And this was going on for quite a while. I think this happened for over a year, even though he was sentenced to life in prison. He got 17 years in New Zealand court. He got 17 years. He was convicted for the murder of Grace. He was found guilty. There was 7 women on the jury and 5 men. They all found him guilty. But yeah, as he was appealing it, and he was still sort of saying he was not guilty, they were hiding his identity. And I think he was sentenced in February 2019. He was sentenced. And I'm just going to show you another photo. That is him in court. But what happened in 2020, a judge overruled it, and it's right, and said he dismissed it. He's guilty, because there was another 2 women that came forward after this and said that he'd actually raped them. I think a woman was raped 9 times. He raped a woman 9 times on one occasion, and yeah, he's quite violent, and yeah, to me, he shouldn't be let out ever again. But he's got 17 years. Before, I'm just going to shut my door because my son screaming upstairs. Yeah, he's before parole, and I don't think he should ever get parole, but that's my personal opinion. He should never be released. But yeah, this is a touching hot one for me. It's broke my heart. But yeah, the reason why I've done it, it's in the description below. I've put it, quite a few posts in the description below. I think because Grace loved handbags, they actually done a handbag charity for Grace. So you can either donate handbags or you can buy the handbags, and everything goes towards a charity that is for women that are in refuges and have been through a lot of violence. And you know, there's just, yeah, so it's so lovely, you know, like, you know, I'm actually going to donate to Grace's charity, you know, and if you would like to as well, you know, the link is in the description below. Please have a look. Please support her page. Such a beautiful woman, and yeah, he should never be released in my eyes. But yeah, I hope he never comes out. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't think he will ever change. He's a predator. He's just, yeah. That's all I've got to say on him, really. Just, that's vile. But thank you for watching. Please check out the descriptions below, and if you ever want to donate, please donate to Grace's charity. If you ever want to donate, I'm going to, and yeah, thank you for watching. Please like the video. Please subscribe if you're not subbed yet. And big love and peace out to you all.